Praise the Lord. Start by dedicating this present, eternal experience in service to one and all, the benefit of all. Ooh. Okay, so where are we in the Yoga Sutras? Book 2 starts out giving us the 3 practices. Tapas, Swadhyaya, Ishwari Pranadhana. Practice those. They will minimize the obstacles and lead you to attain Samadhi. What are the obstacles? Ignorance, egoism, attachment, aversion, clinging to bodily life. And now, after Patanjali dove into elaborating on each one of those obstacles, he says, Sutra 10, in subtle form, these obstacles can be destroyed by resolving them back into their primal cause. Then in brackets, the ego. So as though the primal cause is the ego. Then just the How to Know God commentary says, when these obstacles have been reduced to a vestigial form, they can be destroyed by resolving the mind back into its primal cause. So 2 different translations of the sutra there, both similar. These obstacles can be destroyed by resolving them back into their primal cause in subtle form. Aha. Oh, I see the distinction now, looking ahead at Sutra 11. So here, one sutra commentary describes it, when these obstacles have been reduced to vestigial form, they can be destroyed by resolving the mind back into its primal cause. So, and that's what this in Swami Satchidananda's commentary says. In subtle form, these obstacles can be destroyed by resolving them back into their primal cause. So not saying like in subtle form is referring to the quality of the obstacle. So in subtle form means when you're fairly advanced and they're vestigial, right? Or they're not very well developed. Vestigial or vestigal, I need to look that up. I remember it in biology. I want to say it's like an appendix, right? It's of no use to you anymore. It doesn't serve any purpose, right, for us except causes problems, the appendix. So, but it served us supposedly evolutionarily, just like the obstacles do, right? Fear and anger can serve us depending where we are on the journey. So, when the obstacles are subtle form or vestigial form, they can be totally destroyed by resolving them back into their primal cause. Okay, so to have the obstacles minimized, that means you're well established in tapas, swadhyaya, ishwari, pranadhana. So you're dedicating everything, any pain, any suffering, you can recontextualize it to see the good in it, and you're keeping your mind and intellect soaked in spiritual knowledge and wisdom, reading the books, reflecting on your life, seeing every moment as an opportunity to learn. So when you're doing that, the obstacles are minimized, and then you can fully resolve them back into, fully destroy them by resolving them back into their primal cause, the ego. So, interestingly, this sutra, it's paired with the next one, but we're doing these one sutra at a time. But neither author or commentator here comments specifically on this sutra. It likely comes in the next one, both of them together. Nonetheless, here we are commenting on it. So, resolving it back into its primal cause, the ego, right? If you look at the list of the 5 obstacles, you remember that first sutra about the obstacles, ignorance, that obstacle gets 2 sutras. And the first sutra says, ignorance is the field out of which all the other obstacles arise. So that's more or less the primal cause. But then, even still, I like to think of it as really it's ignorance. So there's ignorance, everything comes out of that. So from ignorance, you get egoism. And then I think there's another level there where out of egoism, then you get attachment, aversion, clinging to bodily life, right? If you don't have the egoism, you're not getting attachments, aversions, and clinging to bodily life. Because egoism, you wouldn't have attachments and aversions if you're not identified with a sense of a separate self, a limited being. So because of that mistaken identification, then you also get the attachments and aversions and the clinging to bodily life, right? If you're not identified with the ego body mind complex, there's no way you're clinging to bodily life, because that's basically there's got to be some complex English phrase to describe that, but more or less clinging to bodily life without having the egoism would not make any sense at all. Almost like a paradox or catch-22. Like, what bodily life am I clinging to? If I'm not identified with the body, there's no body to cling to. Let's call it a catch paradox. A catch paradox 22. When in doubt, when in Rome. Okay, so to resolve everything back, Swami Satchidananda puts in brackets there, resolving everything back into the primal cause of the ego. So you see, and especially juxtaposed to the next sutra, we see how meditation would take you to that state. Well, so with Tapa, Swadhyaya, Ishwari, Pranadhana, they're in subtle form, minimized obstacles, and then you can destroy them by resolving them back into the primal cause of the ego. So essentially, if you have the awareness to be able to witness them, then they're pretty subtle, right? You can catch them as they come up. Whenever an attachment comes up, whenever I have a aversion to someone or something, I can watch it. I can see that's based on the illusion of egoism, and then you let it go. So there's got to be the willingness there and the awareness and the vigilance to do it. But you see that all the pain and the suffering comes out of the egoism and out of the ignorance, forgetfulness of the true self. So it's really, it kind of comes down to identification, and this is the essence really of Jnana Yoga, self-knowledge. What am I really? Who am I? What am I? And when you see, it's either, am I identifying with something that's permanent or something that's impermanent? Am I identified with something that's doomed to die, or am I identifying with something that's eternal? And that's kind of the biggest question. And the answer to that question very much can, drastic difference in shaping the quality of life, the quality of awareness, consciousness in any moment. If I'm identified and realized as something eternal and immortal, the passing dramas and pleasures of the world are nothing. It's totally nothing. You can let it all go. You see, and it can still come up like, I want this ice cream. I see it. I want it. I want to be with that person. I see them. I like them. I want them. Food and people, right? What else is there? I see this mountain of cash. I want it. What am I going to do with a mountain of cash? I don't know. So you can see it coming out of the egoism. It might still arise, but you see, that desire, that aversion comes out of the mistaken idea of identifying with a limited body, mind, ego. And then you can let it go and return to basking in the glories of the oneness of the true self. And just to give a taste or a sense of what that oneness might be like, I'll just quote a passage from the Bhagavad Gita that Mahatma Gandhi said was one of his primary passages for meditation and reflection. It's called the Man of Steady Wisdom. So Arjuna in the Bhagavad Gita, he asked Krishna, how does a man of wisdom live? How does he walk? How does he eat? How does he talk? And Krishna responds, he says, they live in wisdom who see themselves in all and all in them, whose love For the Lord of love has consumed every selfish desire and sense craving, tormenting the heart. Not agitated by grief or hankering after pleasure, they live free from lust and fear and anger. Bettered no more by selfish attachments, they are not elated by good fortune, nor depressed by bad. Such are the seers. So in that awareness, seeing yourself in all and all in you, that your love for the Lord of love consumes every selfish desire and sense craving. So when you see yourself everywhere, what is there even to desire? Or when your love for God is so immense, it's just like being immensely grateful. If you're immensely grateful for God, for love, for peace, if you're immensely grateful for or to something that is everywhere and always present, then what is there to desire? How can you be desiring things or even being averse to anything if you're steeped in gratitude? If you're just so profoundly grateful, there's no room left to desire anything or to be averse to anything because you're so profoundly grateful, and there's no room to cling to anything. And there's not even any room to identify with anything else. It's like your consciousness, you filled it with profound gratitude, infinite gratitude. You filled it, and there's no space to even process the notion of egoism, of attachment, of aversion, of clinging to body life. So you resolve it back into its primal cause by being free from the ignorance and not mistaking the non-self for the self, but you're awake to the self. And awake to the self, it's as though your consciousness is overflowing with gratitude. There's no room for any other notion to even be in there. It's just profound awesomeness, reverence, beauty, endless. The perfection of creation is shining forth. So there's no room for thoughts of being a separate body or mind or wanting things or not wanting things or fear of death. There's no room. Your consciousness is blown up with gratitude and appreciation, reverence, awesomeness, with beauty, the awareness of the perfection, the completion of all that is. Sounds nice, doesn't it? Let's go for that. Woo! Loka samasta sukhino bhavantu. May the entire creation be blessed with peace, joy, love, and light. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. God bless. Thank you. Om Shanti.